Welcome back to Let's Talk Procurement, the only show you need to master the art of procurement. Let's go. Hello everyone, thanks for listening. I'm here with my colleague and my co-host Luke.
And best friend.
Yeah, maybe. And I'm also Luke, so Luke 1, Luke 2, whatever we want to go by. I mean, Luke 1 and 10,
yeah. Well, it makes it a little bit confusing, us both being called Luke. So I was thinking, what if I changed my name to Max Power? Because I just think that's quite like maximum power.
Like, it is actually, yeah.
It's like a cool, well, would it be a cool name? Maybe it would be a cool name, but I don't actually know. Now I've thought about it, I don't want to be called Max Power. Because everyone just take the piss, wouldn't they? Surely. Is there actually a Max person called Max Power?
There probably is.
Max? Oh, you go.
I guess just here with the two Lukes, right? And
to be fair, yeah. Max. Not Max. There is a Max Power. Max Power is an English footballer who plays as a midfielder for Saudi. Oh, I can't say that name. A Saudi club. I'll go for it. Cya? Almost said Al Quesadilla there, but is Qadsiah. No idea how to say that. Anyway, we'll get Max Power on. That'll be our guest episode.
Yeah, but we need to. I think we need to maybe get some guests in at some point, and Max Power, the famous footballer, is probably a good start, right?
Yeah, as long as he doesn't listen to this episode.
I'm kind of thinking you don't want to be called Max Power, but we'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, there can only be one Max Power is basically what we're saying. Because know, if he's more max than you, then you wouldn't be the maximum of the power. Yeah,
you should be low power or something like that.
Yeah.
But what are we talking about today then?
We are talking about. Are we allowed to swear? Well, we've sworn so much in the last episode, so I'm going to say we can. Procurement fuck-ups is basically what we're doing today, which I'm going to take all the credit for this segment as apparent CEO of segmentation.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of preparation for this episode. I've done about 25 minutes.
Well, that's going to be longer than the episode probably, but I mean I'm glad you've done some preparation for once. So hopefully it will show in conversation. I guess the little spin-off around procurement fuck-ups, as you called it, is probably quite useful for helping keep up with procurement news, procurement examples, and probably things you can use in your exams along the way, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about what happened, but we're also going to try and make it a little bit related to SIPs, and I guess at points talk about where it impacts SIPs topics, but also more in a general procurement sense as well, kind of how mistakes like these could potentially be avoided. Not saying that we wouldn't make the same mistakes, but yeah, just stuff like that basically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, where are we going today then? So what's the episode? What's the episode all about then? What's the fuck up?
The episode is shall I do? What should we do? A dramatic. We'll do right. Cue the dramatic music.
Dun, dun, dun.
On the 14th of February 2018, one man's dangerous actions almost caused the whole of the UK to fall into anarchy and chaos beyond belief. I can't be serious at this.
What is that voice?
It's my announcer voice.
Oh, okay, sorry.
My intro, my setting the scene voice, right? In the early hours of the morning, there was a collision involving a number of vehicles between junctions 2 and 3 of the M6 motorway near Rugby in the UK Midlands. Not long after that, there was another collision between 2 lorries near junction 1. And you may ask yourself, why is this significant? Actually, well, hold on. No, thinking about it, they would have clicked on this episode, so they'd probably know why it's significant. Anyway, moving on. This location just happened to be near DHL. Are we allowed to say DHL? I think we're allowed to say DHL. Well, it's in the news everywhere, so it's in. You just Google KFC chicken disaster and it comes up straight away. But anyway, they had a warehouse there, and they recently got the contract to be the distributor of the KFC chicken. And what happened after that was a clucking disaster.
Oh yes, that's where the preparation went.
Yeah, that was 20 minutes of the 25. Just thinking of that. But basically, what happened was there was a shortage of chicken, and the crash thing happened on the 14th, and it started to affect the consumers on the 16th of February. It's going back to 2018. So they shut down some locations. I stumbled across this article on the Sun. I was actually looking for something else, but anyway, I stumbled across this article on the Sun that said 700 of 870 UK stores had to shut, which obviously quite a big impact. I did also come across in my long research as well. It's a few dramatic reactions, so I've got three reactions I want to tell you about. One woman was having a rant, and she was saying she had to go to Burger King, and that was like the end of the world for her. So maybe she was having an existential crisis. Pause for laughter there.
It's like just lost our only subscriber.
Also, a Jesus parody account on Twitter tweeted, "Stop sending prayers. I'm trying to fix America, and then I'll get to you." It was also about the KFC chicken. And probably my favourite one was Tower Hamlets Met Police put out a tweet saying, telling people to stop contacting them about the lack of chicken, and this is their quote: "It's not a police matter if your favourite eatery is not serving the menu that you desire."
Wow.
As if people actually phone the police a lot to complain about the lack of chicken, which is quite funny and puts the whole story into perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything around the actual impact to KFC of this?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because obviously 700 out of 870 stores closed. You've got the brand reputational damage to both KFC and DHL. And I don't know if you saw KFC's apology at the time, where they rearranged the letters KFC to spell FCK. And then they put we're sorry. So I think, not that we're talking about marketing or that we're a marketing podcast, but that was quite a good apology, as apologies go.
Bit of redemption for him there.
Yeah. And so then kind of moving on to how it was caused, I suppose this is like the kind of sips bit we're going to intertwine with the real life stuff. So in my opinion, from my hours of research that I put into this, I've got three kind of main factors which I think it was kind of resulted of. So the first one is like a bit of a single distribution centre. So when they moved suppliers from the incumbent to the new one, they previously had, I think, 6 distribution centres, and then DHL only had 1 in this one location. So obviously that's a single point of failure, and obviously consequences that could kind of were sort of shown to the maximum with this one. I guess where you can kind of put a bit of SIPS stuff into this as well is there's item kind of specific factors. I don't know what the actual official word for it is, but when you're handling food and distributing food, you've got to consider like contamination and handling considerations. So maybe it wouldn't have been financially viable in another setting. Maybe it was better value to kind of have one distribution warehouse, because then you can kind of pour all your resources and training into that one place.
Less energy consumption and better for the environment sort of vibe.
Yeah, and this specific warehouse, and this is maybe something that could be mentioned in other kind of examples. It's in what I've found out. It's a golden triangle. Some people call it golden rectangle. But it's basically, stay with me on this one. Let's call it a golden triangle. So it's an area of the Midlands, and it's really well known for having a high level of distribution centres, basically. So it is the kind of triangle edges are Nottingham, Birmingham, Northampton, so that kind of area in the middle of the UK, which includes like Leicester, Rugby, Coventry. Rugby was where this DHL thing was.
Yeah.
And apparently that area is within a 4-hour drive of 90% of the UK. So you can obviously imagine that a lot of places would have their warehouses there. So if those couple of junctions weren't blocked, you can see why a warehouse in that area makes sense for DHL.
I guess the only other thing is, why was it only KFC then? Were they involved in the crash? Was it?
Don't know. That's a good question. Maybe there was just other things that weren't as high profile, or maybe other companies had better contingency planning, and maybe their supply chains didn't crack under the pressure.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, or not food related. Maybe could be any of that, I suppose.
I know some of the contracts have business continuity or disaster recovery sort of schedules in them. So that's probably something else to mention in the SIP's answer as well.
Yeah,
could that have been planned for?
I've actually taken that down as a note while you were talking. It feels like there wasn't a contingency plan or a disaster recovery plan. I mean, it's a lot easier to implement a disaster recovery plan in a, let's say, your servers shut down, so you just trigger the backup servers. Whereas, I guess for food, you don't really have a stock of backup chicken in case your other chickens go, because then you'll just be killing 2 times the chickens that you need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. They could have, DHL could have perhaps had a secondary location that's outside of the golden triangle where they've got half of the stock or something like that. But I guess it's the balance of logistics versus the chances of something like this happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or maybe it comes into something before that, because this warehouse was very new. I think it was like pretty much a brand new warehouse, so maybe they hadn't kind of thought about in the production of it the exit routes, and if this road is blocked, then can we go down a specific, or can we build another highway in conjunction with another company, not all invest in something. I don't know if that's a bit of a, but it just shows you that kind of other things could have been done, contingency could have been put in place.
There's always other things, isn't there, if you kind of go deep into it. So from your hours and hours of research, who would you say kind of got the reputational damage from this disaster? Was it DHL or was it KFC?
Well, politicians answer, but a bit of both, really. Obviously, KFC initially got it when the shortage happened, and then it kind of came to light that it was as a result of DHL only having one warehouse and kind of contract implementation teething problems, some people thought as well. I guess DHL had only recently taken the contracts from the previous supplier, so you have to consider, was there any foul play going on? Could there have been...
Did a competitor sabotage the chicken truck?
Maybe. You don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting to think about, because you remember this as the KFC disaster, right? You always think,
yeah, for sure.
God, I couldn't have a bargain bucket for like 2 days. Just absolutely tragic, and you kind of, you remember it because it was KFC. You don't kind of go, oh, that DHL delivery disaster.
Did you think, when you couldn't get a bargain bucket for 2 days, did you think it was the start of the impeccablips? I messed that one up so bad.
That was awful. I didn't think that, because that was just terrible. I do remember being upset by it. The local KFC was affected. If I was to use this as an exam, there's a couple of bits it's kind of clear that they use like a just-in-time procurement delivery method. So delivering the chicken just in time for when it's needed to be cooked. There's no back.
Yes, they don't hold stores in their shops.
Yeah, there's no kind of storage facilities there, so it's very much in, fry, out. It kind of makes sense in a food industry, but equally, if there's any delivery delays at all, it affects all the customers. So actually, should they have some sort of buffer stock? I mean, they get enough customers, so you think they could plan something like that?
Yeah, and I guess a lot of their stores are franchised as well, aren't they? So
yeah,
maybe they could say, oh, we want our non-franchise stores to have stock, but they maybe don't have that same type of control in the contracts over the franchise one. I don't know how it works.
Maybe. No, that's a good point. I'm not sure about franchisee contracts, but that's definitely something to consider. The other thing, obviously, is the logistics side of things. You need to think about your warehouse planning. That's a DHL problem, but do the benefits of having a single distribution centre in the Golden Triangle outweigh having 2 or 3 different distribution centres with stock throughout the UK? I know that we're very much on the topic of looking after the environment, minimising road travel distance, and kind of energy usage and consumption. So actually, you can see why there is a big appeal to a single distribution centre, less energy, especially if it's whatever you said, however many miles from most of the UK.
4-hour drive for 90% of the UK.
Yeah, I mean, that's fairly reasonable, isn't it? If you have one in Scotland, then it's probably not the same situation. But yeah, if you're central, kind of makes sense. But equally, then it's a consideration, right? Because you get an accident or a disaster, and then you've got no ability to deliver.
Yeah. If you've ever kind of driven up the M1 past like Northampton way, or even going through Northampton, then you sort of see how many distribution centres there are. There's massive, like Amazon ones and loads of other companies that have their distribution centres right there. So if something did happen, then you can see why it would, it could cause, because how often would something like that happen where it's, one of the biggest logistics centres in the world, and 2 crashes happen at 2 junctions right next to it, so they can't go anywhere?
Yeah, it's unlikely, but then that's why you do your sort of impact assessments and your risk assessments to see what the likelihood is, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got your mitigations in, or you just kind of go, oh well, it's a risk that we're happy to run with because it's unlikely to happen. A bit like people who live near volcanoes, really.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of like SIPS topics, then what do you think could apply to? Obviously warehousing. Yeah,
warehousing, I think, which is a module that comes up. I think it's level 4 and level 5. There's a bit of warehousing. Again, procurement methods, so just-in-time procurement versus holding stock. Also, topics around actually supplier selection. Do we think in this instance that KFC made the right decision to go with DHL? You could pass it off as a teething issue or a contract handover issue, or just what do you call it, force majeure, so an act of God that was just going to happen anyway, and a one-off event. Did the contract have service level agreements? Delivery times, is KFC able to get service credits or some sort of compensation back depending on the contract? There's sort of those unknowns, but you can reference the KFC example and just say, look, here's some of the unanswered questions, and perhaps with some SIPS knowledge involved, this is where we could address it.
Yeah, I guess in terms of things that could have potentially be done to smooth the transition between the 2 suppliers, which some people think is what kind of caused it, maybe an exit clause was needed to be set up from the original contract, like a transition plan type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect a transition plan to be agreed. I don't know if it happened or not, but that's the kind of what you'd like to see. Sort of adequate handovers and enough time to prepare. It does feel to me a little bit like it was just unlucky to a degree. These things do happen, but by way of contingency plan, what could you actually do other than having another warehouse, another location, or perhaps a backup supplier? So maybe DHL could use a different mode of transport or something like that. Or the roads are shut, but I don't know, could they use a plane to get the chicken out and fly it to London or something like that?
A drone. That's becoming big now, isn't it? Drone deliveries.
Yeah, I mean, how many chickens could you carry in a drone?
That's a question you can never answer. Like, how long's a piece of string, or what came first, chicken or the egg?
How many chickens can you fit in a drone? That's right. One of life's mysteries.
What's the size of your drone?
If you ask me, I'd say I've got a big drone.
Do you now? Slightly above average?
Depends who you ask, but yeah, personally, yeah.
I mean, that is quite good that we kind of made it pretty much the way through the episode and not made a cock joke.
Yeah, no, that's true. A whole chicken episode there, and you got no cocktail right at the end. Not bad going, eh?
Yeah, as it should be.
Well, I think it's the what's your title? CEO of segmentation or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, you're self-diagnosed.
Just week to week.
How do you feel that went? Really, I think it's quite useful to talk through an example and.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and at least 20 of those minutes were spent preparing all those chicken jokes. I don't think I came up with any of them on the spot. Maybe I did one of them. Can't remember now, but yeah, I thought it was good. And if you like these episodes, then please don't send us as much hate mail as you have been for the other ones.
Yep, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment if you can do any of that. Don't know yet because I haven't actually seen the platform, but hopefully you can do some of that stuff.
If you can, and again, we should do another thing that we did in the first episode around, share this with someone if you want to make their day as painful as yours because you hate them, or share this if you dropped your phone on the floor by accident today. They won't know which one it is.
If there's someone in your life who is trying to convert you to a vegetarian or a vegan, send them this episode.
Yes. Sounds brilliant.
Then we'll be back soon with some more fuck-ups.
See you later.
Bye.